everyone's really wrapped up warm today because there's loads of ice about. It's a cold but sunny day, and with only a couple of walks left in the old year, 16 of us have braved the slippery conditions to walk off the Christmas excesses. Our walk today is a mixture of moorland and lanes. From the car park we head up Sharptor, and then it's over to Yartor Down, skirting Dartmead and heading up to Yartor itself. Sherwell is our next destination, and then on to the Two Moors Way before turning and heading for Lower Cato. Then it's on to Broaderford, followed by East Shallowford and Jordan, before walking alongside the West Webburn, again on the Two Moors Way to Ponsworthy and Sweeton. Then we return onto the moor, and it's up to Prim Cottage and back up to the car park, a distance of approximately 8.5 miles. There are many tours called Sharp Tour on Dartmoor, 4 of them in total, and also a couple of Sharpie tours as well, which are sometimes referred to as Sharp Tour. It can be a little confusing. We're heading up Sharp Tour at the moment. The ascent to Sharp Tour is a little steep, and this is the time you wish you perhaps hadn't indulged quite so much at Christmas. This will work off the turkey and the Christmas pudding. Sharp Tour. Like many tours on Dartmoor, when looking from a distance, Sharp Tour looks a lot smaller than when you walk through it. There are many pinnacles and large slabs of granite left over from our distant Ice Age past. No. The areas around the main parts are full of clitter, but nevertheless it is very dramatic. After reaching Sharp Tor, we head down into the valley before climbing up again to Yartor Down. The valley area is quite boggy. There's no direct route through the boggy areas. It's just a case of picking the best route you can. Getting up the other side of the valley onto Yartor Down is pretty steep and quite hard going. We're crossing what is known as Yartor Down. Quite a steep incline, but well worth it. The views across to Sharp Tor are absolutely brilliant. The western face of the Tor is not quite as steep as the eastern face. Yartor Down is home to many Bronze Age settlements, which you can see on the map, some of which are overgrown and are almost unrecognisable. Here we can see a reeve or boundary wall. Heading further around Yartor Down, and the whole of the Dart Valley opens up to give some quite exceptional views. There are numerous tracks across the down and up to Yartor, some being made by animals and some by walkers. One of the advantages on a really cold day, that areas that would otherwise be muddy are all frozen. Down in the valley is Dartmead or Badger's Holt. Yartor.
A little bit of a climb, but the views up there are really quite fantastic.
Having crossed the main access road to Dartmead and beyond, the track now again leads in an upward direction, over frost-covered heathland, up to Yartor.
Spread out now.
Yartor can be a bit of a surprise. It's one of those tours that motorists pass by on their way to Dartmead, but very few make the effort to climb its slopes, as it can't be seen that well from the road.
First glimpse of Yartor from this level. We'll soon be there now.
Yartor, or at least part of it, and a welcome coffee break is due.
Wow, Yartor.
Looking towards the coast, and the views are very hazy. A northeasterly wind always seems to create these misty conditions on them. A cairn has been built on the top of the highest part of Yartor. Whether it originates from the Bronze Age or more recently is unknown.
On our way again.
Whilst our main party of walkers skirts around the highest part of Yartor, one or two of us climb up to the top. It consists of 3 main pinnacles and dominates the East Dart Valley. The views from the top of the Tor over the central basin of Dartmoor are quite fantastic. We make our way down through the Tor itself to a pathway which will take us towards Sherwell. We should meet with the main body of our walkers shortly. This small pathway can be quite difficult to find, as it's nowhere near the pathway indicated on the map. But once you're on it, it's relatively straightforward to follow and will eventually lead us to a gate in a wall, and then on to Sherwell.
It's a better shot of it, I think. Coming up to the gate now.
In the near distance is the small hamlet of Sherrill, or Sherwell. Our pathway to it is across the field and through a gate in the corner. This small closed-in copse has a stream running through it, and it always tends to be muddy, but particularly so today.
Today? Always tricky, these.
These high-sided stiles aren't never easy to get over, but especially when they are frost-covered and slippery. We're now joining the western route of the Two Moors Way. This 102-mile trek between Ivybridge and Lynmouth has been visited on a previous walk. We're only on it for a short period, about a mile.
What I think is quite amazing is that all the gorse is still in flower. Bearing in mind it's a couple of days away from New Year's Day.
Of course, we're not the only people to use this trek today. Horse riders and bikers also use it, and long may it continue. I expect you've all noticed how everyone has plenty to say about all sorts of subjects, but on a day like today, it's sometimes good to stop and take a good look around us and appreciate just how breathtaking the scenery is. From here, in the middle distance, we can see Cater Common and the houses of Piswell. We've come to the end of our first visit to the Two Moors Way, but we will be rejoining it later. Now we're going to turn off and head towards Lower Cater. As Graham has just said, the next part of our walk involves a period of road walking. Not my favourite aspect of walking, but sooner or later we all have to do it, as not all parts of the moor have the right of access. Our journey now takes us through one or two small Dartmoor hamlets, starting with Lower Cater. Then it's on to Broaderford.
Father Christmas, trying to get in or trying to get out?
Just after Broaderford, we turn off the lane and head back onto the moor for a short distance, before doing a little more road walking.
Now, would I do it on purpose?
But first it's lunch. Lunch lasts around 20 minutes or so, and whilst it fortifies you for the second half of the walk, in winter you can start to cool down rapidly and soon get cold. An unwritten rule is that we try not to walk up steep hills directly after lunch. Our stroll over this moorland works out perfectly. We're back road walking
There
again,
you go.
but this time it's only for a short distance before we turn off the lane at East Shallerford and head towards Jordan.
We missed the route, we missed the gate.
This is where we leave the road and once more venture onto open moorland. For the next mile or so, our walk takes us alongside the West Webburn. This area tends to be quite boggy. The terrain is continuously changing. Bogland becomes slippery, rocky areas and then frozen meadow. We're continuously winding our way through it all, but I wouldn't alter anything. That's what makes Dartmoor what it is.
That's the dry bit we just been through.
Pretty wet down there.
Although in places where the sun hasn't reached, it's still frozen. We're getting quite close to Jordan now, and this well-trodden pathway is quite churned up and has become really muddy. Jordan is where we once again join the Two Moors Way. This time it's the eastern route. This follows the West Webburn until we reach Ponsworthy.
Just past
Our
you.
walk takes us through a winter woodland.
On our way back to the car, I think. Fee? Me? Now, would I do that?
In places, it's right alongside the river. And it is surprising just how many trees have come down. By the look of them, they've been there for quite a long time, and in some instances, they span right across the river. The Webburn is a salmon and sea trout spawning river, and at one time was kept free of these obstructions by the Environment Agency. But nowadays, there doesn't seem to be the resources or manpower available to do this.
The day may be really good, but the condition under feet aren't so good. A lot of mud around. Oh my.
The thatched cottages in Ponsworthy are often the subject of calendars and postcards. The road ford at the bottom of the hill, which our walkers are just crossing over, is known as the Ponsworthy Splash. Just a short distance from Ponsworthy by road is Sweeton, where we leave the road and head up through a farm track
Oh,
and
just
a
that was
very
you
rough
again.
lane before coming out into open fields.
There's not too much further to go before we come out into the open moor for a little while, before ending up back at the cars.
At the end of the fields is the last stile of the day. Just a further small section of road before it's out onto the open moor again, making our way up to Prim Cottage. We are starting to lose the light in the shaded areas, which can make it difficult to film, with the extreme contrasts of light and dark. But it does make the moorland areas look very dramatic.
We do live in such a fantastic place.
It's only a short distance from Prim Cottage back to the car park, and the light seems to be fading fast. I think perhaps on reflection in the winter months, it may well be more practical to perhaps start our walks a little earlier.
Wow. I just love it when it's like this, don't you?
Just a quick thank you to our patient walkers for allowing me to film them. Here's to the next walk.
Here we are, finished another walk. Lovely day. Mind you, the light's going now.